Greetings, people. It's flippin' spring. I'm taking a walk today. Can you see the beautiful surroundings? I've decided I'm not going to do a video today. This is not a video proper. This is just some random thoughts that I'm going to share with you. You ready? So it seems to me I've been working with a thesis for the past few years as I live abroad and I watch American culture and politics through the internet. It really seems to me this thesis of mine is if you don't got religion or some kind of spiritual practice or perspective, you are going to spiritualize something. And it's usually your political point of view or your identity. So there's no such thing as no religion. We are beings that need transcendence from this difficult and limiting, scary human situation. Period. The only question is what you're going to turn sacred. I'm in the forest here. There's some interesting, I'm in the Prater Park. As you can see, someone built a little hut here. And I hope there's no defecation, but oh, look at that, there's sun coming through. Oh, sun, I missed you so much. Come touch my gray face. Okay, where was I? So if we get caught up in politics, or we get caught up in identity, or we get caught up in our position, we get stuck, and we become pawns of samsara, of suffering, political pawns, we become stooges, and we turn to some sort of product or service or ideology to rescue us. We become slaves of the culture. We join the fight, we join the battle, and I don't think the battle needs any more people on their side, either side. And I have to keep reminding myself of this because it's so easy to forget. But it seems to me that just maybe if there is a true position, it comes out when the left and the right interact and butt their heads against each other. Something true arises out of that. It's an interesting political position to have, and I've been trying to adopt it more lately, not siding with the right on an issue like should this swimmer who was born a biological male be allowed to compete against women in the NCAA swimming championships. Not siding with the progressive left, not siding with the conservative right on that issue, but feeling the arguments, listening to the different points of view, watching them hit each other, and then seeing if something doesn't arise in me that's some kind of synthesis of these two points of view, something that is my own, where I don't have to crawl under the umbrella of the Ben Shapiro's on the one hand, or the ideologues on the left on the other hand, because I don't know about you, but I never feel fully at home with either side. Which brings me to Jordan Peterson. Before he ever became famous, I discovered him because I was Googling around for some reason and I wanted to find a good internet course on existentialism. I cannot remember why. And I found this Canadian professor who kind of talked like this. It's not immediately obvious. I'm not going to do a Jordan Peterson impersonation. So I found this guy. I thought he's interesting. He seems like a great professor. Like he's the professor I would have had at my conservative Catholic college that I wouldn't necessarily have agreed with, but I would have respected. Very smart, very passionate, strong point of view. But then he became somehow this lightning rod figure, right? And I just sort of sat back and I watched time and time again this culture war take place based on this guy that was a college professor that had a point of view and happened to get kind of famous. They were so fixated, like our culture had so fixated its positions, whether you're progressive or conservative, nobody could bend. Nobody could let somebody dance in their fucking ballroom from the other team. It was like, oh no, we're only having our team in this ballroom. So I think ideas should be allowed to dance with each other. I think this is I think this is where Buddhism is really important. And I sort of feel like Cassandra just screaming into the darkness, like we need another religion, and it ain't Christianity. And I feel like a Buddhist, a Zen perspective, if more people had it in America, there would be more sanity. There would be less people identifying with the liberal or the conservative point of view, and more people playing with each other, dancing with each other, being more suspicious of thought leaders in their camp, and more capable of thinking for themselves, because there's some understanding that the self is fluid, that it changes, that there's no super good or naughty bad, okay? There's life, and it's full of suffering, and everybody's trying, so relax, okay? It's stunning and astonishing to think, but there are people who have completely different perspectives and points of view. I mean, maybe who uses which bathroom isn't of ultimate, vital, maximum concern or importance, right? Maybe identity isn't the hill every last one of us should be dying on over and over again. Maybe identity and self are truly fluid, and we can shut the fuck up and talk to people, relax, listen, nod, think, go home, process, keep our opinions fluid. I mean, this is like, I feel like the ultimate revolutionary act in our day and age is not having a fixed opinion about something. And I do feel that Buddhism offers the best template or format or philosophy or foundation to keep a fluid point of view, because fundamentally there is anicca, impermanence, things change, and fundamentally there is anatta, no fixed self. Like, this is foundational to Buddhism, and it is totally revolutionary. Name me, other than like Vedantic Hinduism and some strains of mysticism and monotheism, name me a religion or a spiritual point of view that takes this radical position that there is no fixed soul. Like, stop with the soul thing and the divine scoreboard that tips your favor in hell or heaven at the end of your life. Like, this is our life. We are an inflection on, or a wave on the ocean, and one day that wave will be returned to the ocean. This identity, this form we're taking, is not permanent, fixed, solid, freestanding, etc., right? Like, we need a spiritual point of view. We need a spiritual point of view as a culture. Otherwise, we run around arguing with each other from these fixated positions on ephemeral topics, which, by definition, that's a stupid thing to do. I was talking about Jordan Peterson. Oh, my point was with Jordan Peterson. So I found the guy interesting, and I watched as, quote-unquote, liberal press mocked him, took him out of context, took his philosophies and twisted them around. And then I watched the conservative press raise him up on this pedestal and call him Dr. Peterson, sir, and elevate him to this status of philosopher king, which he doesn't deserve. He's a bit, he's a good professor. That's it, right? And finally, I went and got the guy's audiobook. So he has this idea. There's a dog. I don't like talking when there are dogs around, because then that means their owners are going to come see. It's a cute dog. I'm listening to this guy's audiobook, And it's interesting. He's talking about these dominance hierarchies, and they go back 500 million years. And he does this wonderful description of lobsters and how when lobsters win fights in the dominance hierarchy, their serotonin levels shoot up, and they're like happy and stoked, and they become stronger because there's more serotonin. And when they lose, their serotonin drops, and then it just keeps dropping and dropping, right? And it's interesting. And I'm listening to the guy, and then he starts saying that there's anything in our world that's like fixed, it's the dominance hierarchy. So ultimately, he fixates the dominance hierarchy, and it's almost like his replacement for the Old Testament God. And I've noticed this in a lot of conservative thought. They sort of use evolutionary biology as a way of defending traditional values. Like they just basically replace like Old Testament God with the dominance hierarchy. This is the way it is, folks. The strong survive and the weak are screwed. So clean up your room and get your stuff together. I think that we replaced the Old Testament God with the New Testament God. I think that point of view that you feed young men that they have to be aggressive. And I think we need to speak to young men and tell them to be strong and to clean up their room. Like I like that shit. I like that stuff when Jordan Peterson does that. But to give people this notion that there is I think it's an ugly world that he presents. It's an ugly world. It's a world of fear. It's a world that doesn't reward courage. It rewards circling the wagons. It's fixed. It's scared. And it's like all points of view that miss the mark. It's a fixated self. So it seems to me this fixation on the dominance hierarchy, it comes from this point of view that's very Christian, very old school, very eat your vegetables and obey your parents, that somehow the human race crawled up out of the primordial soup, beat off the evil beasts of the wilderness, formed bricks from the clay of the earth, and built walls around its precious little God-made soul to protect itself and its women from evil nature. Well, that's not the Buddhist point of view. The Buddhist point of view is relax, relax, bro. Let it go, because you're going to die. Your ass is going to return to the earth. You're going to be worm food. Your children are going to be worm food. So that's kind of like birth, life, old age, sickness, suffering, and death. Like, these are the facts, right? And Buddhism doesn't sugarcoat these facts. And I like that about it. It doesn't create a narrative or a story that says, well, the fact is death. But if you get on the side of the creator, then it's all good. You can live for eternity, right? And ultimately, I think that that's kind of the point of view that somebody like Jordan Peterson is presenting. He's reverting to that old Christian perspective, right? And what annoyed me so much about the press around him was nobody was taking him at face value. Nobody was looking at his arguments and that I saw in the press and taking like a Buddhist point of view and knocking him down. They were all just making fun of him because he's conservative and he's kind of a clown. But it seems to me like the deal is we're on this planet for a short period of time, and ultimately we disappear from it. We arise from causes and conditions and circumstances, the 5 skandhas in Buddhism: form, rupa, perception, mental formations, consciousness, sensation, a bunch of different factors come together. My teacher called it inside and outside. And from that interconnection, me arises and you arise. Like, this is the fundamental condition. It's not dominance hierarchies within the realm of Darwinian nature, which is red and tooth of claw. Like, I don't think that should be a foundational principle upon which one bases one's life, or one's religion, or one's culture. And nor do I think one's racial identity or political identity or sexual identity should be foundational for a culture or one's personal philosophy or spirituality. When we take that route, we just go tribal, and it's our tribe against their tribe. And that's what we have in America right now. It seems to me that so many of our cultural values and ideas are totally up in the air right now. And it gets very tricky. So on the one hand, I make fun of Jordan Peterson and his obsession with the dominance hierarchy, but like, also on the other hand, are we just going to totally deny biology, deny nature? There's this fear and bullying and this like religious fervor that the progressive left, if you want to call it that, has with equality and with the individual and with one's identity and it intersectional identity. And generally speaking, like, I'm down with all that. Relax, don't cancel Daddy. Daddy's down with it, okay? But the thing is, I think what happens, each instance I can look at something the progressive left is saying and say, okay, I agree with that. Okay, I can agree with that. Okay, I can agree with that. But I think after a while, all these things begin to accumulate, and I find myself thinking, yo, crazy. How about we take a little bit of the right wing, a little bit of the left wing, go full left, go crazy left, and go straight up repressive authoritarian right. Smash those two perspectives into each other and meet somewhere in between, the middle way. There has to be just some presentation of the possibility of a middle way as the path forward. Right? And I believe that is a spiritual perspective, right? And I think we need that spiritual perspective. It's not the middling way. It's not compromise. It's hitting the bullseye, okay? It's walking the razor's edge. It's not getting fixated on the trans swimmer swimming in female events one way or the other way. And that issue and so many other issues like it are so triggering for so many people, and they're so important. I mean, they deal with real people, right? They deal with real people who have skin in the game. So I get it. It's intense, but most of us don't have skin in that game. Most of us don't need to get inflamed about 99% of the stuff we get inflamed about online, right? And I think just for myself, as I, continue to move out of the pandemic era through this dark new era where Ukraine is getting bombed next door into the present moment, I'm trying to hold that middle way as my value when people are telling me I have to take on their values, right? Standing in the middle of all these intersecting points of view and thinking for myself and opening my heart to the people around me, whether they're progressive, cancel addicted, wokeaholic nut jobs or darkly souled conservative, fascistic, Putin-worshipping lunatics on the right. you know, and all the permutations in between. I'm going to try and hold my space right in the middle. I hope you can too. Ciao. Sorry for this rant. See you next time. Oh, the whole point of this video actually was none of what you just watched, but I was going to tell you that we're going to do a sit this Sunday again. So every other Sunday I've been doing sits. I think it's, I don't know, I think it's, we're coming up on the end of March, so it would be the second Sunday and the last Sunday of every month we do a sit. I'm going to post it on Patreon for y'all. I'll post the sit information. Love ya.